A lot of people think publicity is just getting your picture in the paper. And for a lot of people, that's enough. But that really shouldn't be enough. You really should have an objective. What do you want to accomplish by getting your picture in the paper? What is it that you're selling? How are you selling it? Who are you selling it to? What? Why? Public relations is what they called earned media because you earn it. You're not paying for it. That's advertising. So as a public relations person, you've got to earn that media by giving that editor the story they want and the story that's going to make sense for their readers. So you've got to be a great writer and you've got to be able to craft the story. Know what that story is. And I think that that's what makes a good publicist. If I go and somebody hires me and this is the project, I'm going to take a look at every element of that project and I'm going to see what are the great stories here that I can pull out from this project that are going to be resonating with those editors and those large media outlets, because that's where I want to place this. So they have a specific mission. They got a specific content that they need to deliver for their readers or for their users. I got to figure out what that is, and I got to figure out from my project how do I translate that to the story they want.
There are different sectors of PR. What I
for an actor,
for an actor or a creator, a filmmaker. There is PR, the kind of PR that I deal with is press outreach. So I'm a publicist who deals strictly with trying to get some buzz in the media for whatever it is that you're working on or for you as an individual. Okay. Then there's also marketing, and PR and marketing, they go hand in hand. A lot of people lump them all together, right? Mm-hmm. So the marketing is all of that other ways that you would promote directly to the audience or the public. Right, so that can be social media, it can be paid advertising. Those are all marketing tools. It can be a piece of press that you take an email out to a new rep you're trying to capitalize and get, right? That then becomes a piece of marketing, a marketing tool for you. But PR, so a lot of people, you lump all of that into one group. But what I focus on strictly is press outreach and trying to gain that credibility about you and your work through getting somebody who doesn't know you to cover you, to write a story about you, to interview you, to put you, as the topic of their article or of their show, a podcast. It can be lots of different types of outlets, right? Mm-hmm. Whether it's online or something in person or on the radio, a podcast. I mean, there are tons of different types of media out there.
As an actor, why do I need a press person?
Okay, so to gain attention, right, to your talents, right? That's the goal is I want people to know I'm out there, that I exist, that I can get attention, that I'm good, that I'm skilled, that I want to be hired again, and the more people see you from a credible source, right? It's not your mom saying, oh, check out my daughter who was on this show. It's a reporter. It's somebody who doesn't know you. Mm-hmm. So it automatically raises the credibility level when you share that or when somebody sees that. It can help you also gain fans, right? Just from whoever reads or sees or hears or whatever that interview or that article. But I like to, at this level, at the sort of the level of a working class actor or creator, indie creator, I like to look at it as it can give you marketing tools that you can't get, that adds that credibility that you can't get anywhere else. It shows that you're a professional. It shows that you're in the game, without really you having to toot your own horn. A lot of people stress about that, right? Is I don't want to feel like I'm bragging. I don't want to be that person. This is a way that suddenly people can read all about you and what you're doing in your work. And it's not you going, look at me, look at me. It's a reporter going, look at her, look at her, look at her. So it doesn't feel so icky, because a lot of people feel icky with it. Your own personal publicist is there for you, not just for this project. They're looking at, right now we're going to use this project to position to get you some opportunities, but we're going to plant seeds for all of the other things that you're working on. And you have the ability then to talk about not only this project, but what you've previously done and what you're doing next. And that comes into play especially for people who are creating their own content. So if you're working on and you're hired to be an actor on somebody's film, but you're also creating your own projects. Well, if the production team sets up that interview for you, the only thing you're allowed to talk about is that production. If your own publicist sets up the interview for you, not only are you going to talk about that film, but you're going to talk about the one you're creating. It widens the door for you as an artist altogether. And that's really why I tell people it's smart for you, even if they're going to do some, and I work with teams all the time. I work with the PR team for a project or at a studio, and we're in constant contact if I'm repping or working with one of the people that that is in that project. But it's smart to have your own if you can. And if there's a need, again, it goes back to your goals, your needs, and your budget.
If you want to publicize, you have to have a project and you have to have an objective. A lot of people think publicity is just getting your picture in the paper. And for a lot of people, that's enough. But that really shouldn't be enough. You really should have an objective. What do you want to accomplish by getting your picture in the paper? What is it that you're selling? How are you selling it? Who are you selling it to? What? Why? All of those questions you should be asking yourself. And what is going to be the end result? Your objective.
Whenever I start working, whether it's a full press campaign, a bio, an EPK, anything, I always ask people, what's your goal with this? What are you looking to accomplish? Who are you sending this to, right? Because that's going to matter. Who are you wanting to share this with? Where are you sharing it? Because all of those things, we want to make sure that we're creating something that is appropriate for that audience, for that person, meeting their expectations, things that they look for. An agent's going to look for something different than a fan would. If you're just trying to create an EPK for a fan, or to supplement, to go out to with a press campaign, and you want to send that to reporters to try and encourage them, to do something on you, that's going to be tailored a little different than if you're trying to go after rep. The best time to sort of work with a publicist is when you have something coming up that's going to premiere. And the reason for that is because that's when the press is going to have the most interest in you. It's hard for a reporter to create a story about somebody who has nothing going on currently, right? They're going to say, well, come back to me in 3 months when that's going to release. Because I have too many other opportunities of something that's releasing right next week. I have to cover those. And they don't tend to cover stuff that's already happened. So what you really want is when you have that window of opportunity leading right up to a premiere, and then the immediate few weeks right after. That's your window for gaining and using that as a fresh sort of press opportunity.
So when should I contact you?
I always tell actors, I love to hear from you when you book something. So like early on, because then I can tell you, do you know when it's going to release? That's always one of my first questions is, what did you book? When does it release? And are you allowed right now to even say that you're in it?
Okay. There are people who are A-listers, who are, big stars, and they've got a publicist all the time because they've got things going on all the time.
They're permanent on their team.
Yes, always, always. If it's somebody that, you work every once in a while, you got a movie coming out, okay, you hire somebody for 3 months till your movie comes out. And then, see
So
where
is that the
gets
standard,
you.
like if you're doing a movie 3 months?
3 months
would
is
be,
the standard,
okay.
yeah. A lot of people do less, it just depends on how down
What's
and
most
dirty you want to
effective,
do it.
though?
3
What-
months is most effective.
Okay.
You want to be able to give you the lead time to be able to work everything out.
Okay.
Especially if you want to really have a good, robust campaign. Sometimes it's possible, sometimes it's not. Sometimes you have 2 weeks, sometimes you have a month. You have to do what you can.
If you're looking for just a basic press campaign that's going to get a few online articles, maybe a few interviews here or there, about 4 weeks prior is a good place to start. Mm-hmm. But I've worked with people who have, come to me 2 days before and said, this is happening, we just found out. Okay, well, it doesn't mean that we can't do anything. It just limits your opportunities. Because some reporters and some outlets, press outlets, they need more advance notice, right, than a day. Mm-hmm. Others don't. Some can turn it around really quickly. Some will, like I had said earlier, some will report on it even after it premieres for like that 2 or 3 weeks after. You'll see articles still coming in, but we've set them up in advance. It's just they're still coming in. So, but too late to me means the project has aired maybe 3 months ago. It's hard for me to if there's nothing new about it, if it's not still screening on the festival circuit, coming up with a new screening, or there's not a new season of your web series releasing next month, or there's nothing fresh about it, then the reporter really goes, well, why am I covering this right now? It always goes back to they need me to create some urgency behind why they need to cover it and write a story about it right now.
If they do not have a publicist hired, which a lot of people starting out can't afford, then they must read up on marketing and public relations and see how they can start practicing that themselves. And by that I mean, now that we have social media, make sure that you put together a very strong, robust social media presence that is unified and that has a brand message to it. I'm guilty of it too, that sometimes we just post too many different things on our feed. You want to be able to be mindful of your brand.
So let's talk brand.
Yes.
What is that?
Brand is who you are. Who do you stand for? What do you stand for? Who are you? What is your mission in life? That's your brand. So when you start your social media, people know what they're going to get in this feed. And that's how you build an audience. And so a lot of times people have too many things in their feed. And so it's a little bit, not confusing, but it's a little bit unfocused. And so it's harder to get the followers. It's harder to get the return people. Because maybe this time it doesn't have anything to do with me, right? The post. But if you're constantly posting and it's always your brand, then those people interested are always coming back. And then you become a destination for them. And then that's how you build it. Now, you want to go into traditional media. You want to get on TV. You want to get on radio. You want to get in newspaper. Now you have to have something newsworthy. So what's your project? What are you doing now? Get out a press release. Call somebody that you know here and get me on TV. So that would be the next step. There should always be something newsworthy, because otherwise then if you're just one of these people, like there's a lot of people who are famous that are always in the public eye, and a lot of times they're just always out there. And then sometimes people get tired of them, especially if they're not really tied to any one project or anything, and they're just out there all the time. So you also have to be mindful of that.
Everybody can do this themselves if you have the time and you don't have the budget to bring in somebody even affordable like me. If you can't, it's okay. You can still do stuff. Write a press release. There are lots of examples online. Google press releases, and you could entertainment press release. Things will come up. You write your own about what you're currently working in. Investigate and research some outlets. Start with your hometown. Most people are not, there are a lot of people from large cities, but even large cities hone in on your local, those little free circulars. They're always looking for content.
Community papers.
Exactly. It doesn't matter so much. It's funny because I tell everybody, hometown newspapers do the most lovely, beautiful feature style articles with lots of images. They make you look awesome most of the time, right? And when you share that, when that's published then online and you're sharing that link, nobody is going, well, who's that? Who wrote that? What paper was that? Oh, I don't know that. Most people are just seeing the headline or seeing the image and they're clicking and they're going, how cool is that? That's why, anybody can do this at any level. Start researching and building your own target list of, okay, who covers filmmakers on the rise or actors on the rise, people who aren't celebrities that maybe I don't know who they are, but somebody covered them. Well, what's that outlet? Who's that reporter?
Right. And also there are a lot of online websites that will include you, especially if you're of color, Asian,
exactly.
Latin,
Use
Black.
what you got. That's what
right.
I always say.
Right.
Use what you've got. Hone in, focus in. There are so many outlets that are specific and written for or published for a specific audience. Look for those. Look for where you fit in. Look for ones you have a connection with, whether it is being Latino or being African American or being from another country. Often there are ones that, Aussies in America, there are all of these that cover, that have all these sort of niche audiences that you should start to look for. I know some people hate social media, and I understand. But treat it as this is part of my business, the same way you would take a class, to hone your skills, or you would read a book to understand a method, or put it into action. Treat it that way. Treat it as this is my business, so I need to spend a little bit of time. I need to understand it. If you're only doing one platform even, fine, but be on something. And then go.
What's the why? Why should an actor be on social media?
Because everybody's on it. because even producers are looking at how many followers do those people have, because it gives you control of being able to share with the world your talents, your skills. It's a tool, it's free, that you can promote what you're working on so that you have to create the career you want, right? So you want to show people, I am doing this, even if you're not getting paid, even if it's creating your own projects, whatever. You're still doesn't mean just because you didn't get paid that you're not an actor. You still acted in something. You're still that's still an artist. So show it.
Basically, it's the who, what, where, and when, and why of any project, of anything. So you want to be able to have that. In addition to that, you want to have some good photos, not only of yourself, but of your whatever project, anybody else who's been with you. You want to have some good video. And then whatever other assets that are going to be helping to tell the story. Maybe there's more photos, there's other kinds of behind the scenes, biographies, those kinds of all the background material. People call it press kits.
EPK stands for Electronic Press Kit. There are many forms of them, and they are used in different ways. An actor specifically, I like to use those in two different ways. When you want to highlight a single project, so you can create one just for that project, for you as working in that, or if you're creating stuff, that can be for that too, or one that shows the whole body of your work. And those I like to use instead of telling people, whenever you're looking for new rep, it's smart to send them something visual, right? It's a visual representation of your resume as opposed to just sending it listed, right? It can be, it can encompass, different things too. It can have links to your reel. It can have a link to your website. It can have, all the basic information, contact information, but then also highlight a few of your main projects that maybe you have great images of you, in this character that maybe is opposite of what you would even normally look like in person. Right. Maybe you play something opposite. You look nice, but you play the bad guy. So then it gives a good visual way rather than sending one, headshot and one resume or saying here's where you can find that stuff. It goes a little more in depth. It can include a bio within it or a taste of a bio. It can include.
Now, when you say a taste of a bio,
well, a mini bio.
Okay, so maybe a paragraph,
right?
Okay.
Like a paragraph of your bio. I never a full bio where it's like a page long. Those are great for your website. I don't suggest you send those to IMDb. Keep it for things you control. We can chat about IMDb.
So, and real quickly,
yes.
You don't want to send it to IMDb because then you can't pull it off.
Right. That's exactly right.
Okay.
When it comes to sharing anything with websites that you don't own and have control over, just be careful. Be cautious, because you may not be able, in 5 years from now, when it's outdated, you can't get it taken down and it's still there. So your full bio, that is the one that goes really into seriously who you are, your personality, what you do, why you are doing working on what you're working on, that you have control over on your website. So put that one on your personal website. Put truncated ones, small ones that stick to the facts, awards you've won, your education, things like that can go on IMDb. If you don't have a lot, or you have like one really good one, that's when a mini, like a smaller version of it, could be really good. You could just focus it on that one project, on that one character, on that one role, because if you're using that to try to get more roles like that one, that would be smart.
So it would include a bio.
Yep.
How many pictures?
That's the main. So when it comes to an EPK, that is really what you're telling, is the story is a visual, because otherwise you just send them your resume, which is written out. So you want to use those photos, and that you can pull photos from behind the scenes, BTS stuff. You can pull if you can get a still from the project, like you in it, great. You can include your headshot. That's usually, I use your main headshot either on the first or the last page, right? And the last page is usually like a contact page. And they don't have to be a lot of pages. If you don't have a lot to work with, that's okay. Mm-hmm. Highlight what you do. That's the main thing, is just highlighting your strengths so that I understand your castability.
Do they have a website? Do they have a social media feed? Go back and look at everything that they've got on there. That's going to give you already a great picture of who this person is. Then go ask them for their resume. Ask them for their, what have they done before. Ask them for a portfolio. On my website, I have a thing called the press room. We put up breaks from our clients. As they come in, we put them up. If you want to find out about me, you go to my website and you look at my bio. If you want to find out what I've done, go to my press room. And then you see all the hits that I'm getting for all my clients. Then you'll see somebody who's actually on it. If there's nothing on there, then you know this guy's probably not on it. Ask people who might know him, Google him. You know, really do the background research on this person. But the number one thing you want to see is what results have they achieved, because that's going to give you the idea of what they're going to be able to do for you. The fact that there's a lot of people in Hollywood that are full of shit, yes. There's a lot of people here that are full of shit. And so you just have to have that eye. I've been around a long time, so I see them coming a mile away.